So, have you noticed how every company these days claims to be green or eco-friendly? I'm honestly still wrapping my head around what that really means for a business. Maybe we can break down what green entrepreneurial orientation and green market orientation actually are.
Totally, because those buzzwords get tossed around a lot. So, Green Entrepreneurial Orientation, or GEO, is basically when a company gets proactive about weaving environmental sustainability into everything they do, from new products to how they manage risk. It's like an attitude, but also a strategy.
Right, and then green market orientation, or GMO, which I always have to double check, isn't about genetically modified stuff, focuses on bringing that environmental mindset to how a firm connects with its customers. We're talking about aligning product offerings, branding, and even supply chain choices with what eco-conscious consumers want.
And that connection with consumers is huge. When a firm truly adopts GMO, they're not just making green products, they're listening to what their market wants in terms of sustainability and building out their business model around that. It's the difference between a one-off green initiative and a whole organization that really lives those values.
That actually reminds me of something I read. There's been a lot of debate over whether these green strategies really move the needle on sustainability performance. There's evidence pointing both ways, right?
You're spot on. Some studies say GEO and GMO make a big difference, helping companies innovate, cut emissions, and even improve profits. But others find the impact is smaller, or even negative in some cases. Sometimes it's just window dressing, or what's called greenwashing.
Greenwashing is such a sneaky problem. Companies can look the part without actually making meaningful changes. Plus, there's this tricky balance too, especially for smaller businesses, between investing in sustainability and staying financially viable.
Exactly, and for companies in developing economies, those challenges are magnified. High upfront costs, lack of tech, patchy policies, it can make it tough to implement real green initiatives. Still, the research does show that when firms do integrate GEO and GMO genuinely, they tend to perform better in the long term, both financially and environmentally.
Funny you say that, because I was curious about the big picture. How do we know, across all these different studies and countries, what actually works? There was mention of a 3-level meta-analysis in the latest paper on this.
Oh, the meta-analysis is pretty cool. Instead of just looking at 1 or 2 studies, the researchers pooled data from 57 studies over 35,000 participants. They used this 3-level approach to sort out differences within each study, between effect sizes in the same study, and differences between studies themselves. It's kind of like zooming in and out to see both the details and the big patterns.
That's a huge sample. And I like that they checked for things like different research designs or where the studies came from. It adds a layer of trust that the conclusions aren't just flukes from a few outliers.
Definitely. Plus, they made sure to include unpublished studies too, so the results wouldn't be skewed by only focusing on research that found strong effects. That kind of thoroughness makes a difference.
So, let's get to the punchline. Did the numbers actually show that green entrepreneurial and market orientation boost sustainability in firms?
They really did. The effect sizes were solid. GEO had a correlation of 38, and GMO was 39 with firm sustainability performance. In management research, those are considered pretty meaningful. So the evidence points to, yes, these green strategies help companies do better on sustainability, not just on paper, but in real outcomes.
That's encouraging. And those numbers aren't just statistical artifacts, there's actual, practical significance. But I'm curious, did the researchers find that things like country differences or how the studies were run made a difference in those effects?
Surprisingly, not really. They tested whether the Global Sustainable Competitiveness Index or the research design explained why some studies found stronger effects than others, but those moderators weren't significant. It suggests that GEO and GMO matter regardless of those factors, which is kind of wild.
After hearing all that, I have to ask, what should companies and policymakers actually do with this info? Is it just about adopting more green practices, or is there more to it?
There's definitely more. For policymakers, creating incentives like tax breaks or grants can seriously encourage businesses to adopt GEO and GMO. For companies, it's about making these strategies part of their DNA, not just a marketing slogan. That means training employees, tracking green efforts, and weaving sustainability into every part of the business.
Makes sense. And for researchers, It sounds like there's still space to dig into what other factors like industry or region could shape how effective green strategies are. Because clearly, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly, and it's an evolving field. The take-home message is that serious commitment to green entrepreneurial and market orientations pays off, but the journey is ongoing. Companies and policymakers both have a big role in shaping what sustainable business looks like in practice.